Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News for You, which in the light of the current world situation has just been cancelled.
Maybe over the hill, down the side, fading away, but I'm not yet expired. Lapped out, run down, two of the same, one foot in the grave.
In the news this week, in Afghanistan, there's bad news for one toddler as the SAS takes part in National Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. As the economic consequences of the war begin to bite, the Queen does her bit and assigns staff to essential duties only. And at this year's auditions for the Bolshoi Ballet, one young hopeful regrets taking a shot of brandy to calm her nerves. On Ian Hislop's team is a Labour MP who once likened the farce of Prime Minister's Question Time to this programme, hard to dispute as a bald bloke called Ian invariably ends up the loser, Andrew MacKinlay. And with Paul Merton tonight is the BBC's royal correspondent who was once told you look like a horse that's eaten a bucket of sour plums soaked in vinegar. And you can see the full interview with Prince Philip tomorrow on BBC One. Jennie Bond. Round one allows us to criticise the major news events of the week from the safety of this bunker in South London. Ian and Andrew.
This is, I think, the casting for Aladdin at Thameside Theatre in Thurrock.
And that's one of those moderate Talibans we keep hearing about.
Ah, well, this is my good colleague, Paul Marsden.
No, it isn't. Look,
no,
it's a woman.
No, that's Hilary Armtwister.
She's a chief whip, isn't she?
She's a chief whip. Yeah, it's a very fine woman.
Right.
And I'll be honest with you. I mean, sometimes you have to go to the chief whip and you say, look, I need time off. I've got a terrible, terrible headache. And she'll tell you to go and see a pairing whip. And he looks at you and he says, you don't look unwell to me. And he gets this thing out. Are you really absolutely, totally sure that you are not feeling very well?
I get the feeling you're not very well at all, actually.
And,
can I borrow that? I've got to open some posts tomorrow.
Yeah, so what was Hilary Armstrong complaining about then in her showdown with your friend, as you say?
He just wasn't singing from the same song sheet. It wasn't a message, and that is a big problem.
She told him to stop using the media, didn't she?
That's correct, I think, and
which he obviously took a lot of notice of. He had the most ludicrous idea, which was that in the middle of a war to protect democracy, there should be a vote about it.
Yeah.
It's laughable, really, isn't it?
It is an absurdity. In a modern-day parliament, we don't have a vote on whether or not we should go to war. And Paul Marsden rightly said this is a matter of conscience. I actually agree the stewardship of this crisis by the Prime Minister has been very good. But people have
that's right, that'll save you.
People have a right to dissent, and that's being denied to them.
Right, thank you. That's the first serious point we've ever made on this programme. And probably the last. Who else has been casting aspersions on the war? One of your colleagues. In fact, Jennie?
Oh, dear Kate, yes. She says she's one of the old traps. Well, I'm one of the old traps too, so she's feeling a bit...
No.
Oh, yes.
Slow down.
Slightly late, yeah. So how has the rock world contributed this week to the war effort?
Well, a lot of rocks have been bombed in Afghanistan.
Rock music.
Rock music, sorry.
A new thing that young people tend to listen to.
Well, some very, very old men gave a concert in New York.
Yes, that'll be them.
Yeah.
Paul
McCartney, he did his, Give War a Chance. Who else was there? All those old rebels, the Rolling Stones.
Yeah. Mick Jagger actually said if there's one lesson to be learnt from this, it's that you don't with New York.
Well, he has. Most of it.
And Richard Gere was booed off. Do you know why?
He made some vaguely worried sentiment about the world's biggest country bombing the world's poorest, and he got booed off.
Yes.
His compassion only goes so far.
Yes, he mentioned the word forgiveness, which is obviously unforgivable. And the Sun suggested that the Taliban might have requested Paul McCartney to sing various amusing songs, such as Mullah Kintyre. And there's been good and bad news for bin Laden this week.
Well, you didn't have to listen to that concert.
That was a plus. No, the CIA are now authorised to assassinate him.
Right.
Which is the bad news. All they have to do is find him first, obviously. The good news is that his training video is now available in the shop in Birmingham. Jennie, you've been to the Afghan border, haven't you, in your days?
Oh, yes, well, to the Hindu Kush I have been, yes, with Prince Philip at the hands.
Right, how was that?
Well, it was pretty dusty, pretty remote.
A bit like him.
Yeah.
This is the continuation of the war against terror, which this week saw unexpected introduction of ground forces, or helicopter crews, as they were originally known. Osama bin Laden is said to be supported by British Muslim Abu Hamza, who famously lost a hand 15 years ago, according to strict Islamic code. One of your hands is used for eating, while the other serves for toilet duties. And luckily for Abu, he's mastered the art of eating with a hook. Paul and Jennie, your royal appointment.
Oh, it's our boy Will Wales there, going to university at St Andrews, watched by all the crowds, and the press, who dutifully went away, except for this man's crew.
Prince Edward, yes.
Yep, they stayed, upset his brother, he had put a silly hat on, he was so upset. And his parents actually were so annoyed they ran away to Scotland.
Prince Philip eyeing up the Queen as she gets into the car. So there's a bit of a bust-up.
There was a bit of a royal bust-up, yes.
And how cross is Charles?
Charles is very cross indeed. Charles is incandescent.
Yes, that's what he said. The palace aide said he didn't just call him an effing idiot, but an effing everything under the sun.
We don't need quotes, we've got Jennie Bond here. Now, what did he really say?
Well, I think he was very cross indeed, yes, Ian. He said diplomatically.
So, who was it that shopped Ardent, Edward's company, to the authorities then?
It was the press secretary, actually, who spotted a producer outside the
Right.
university and said, "What are you doing here?"
So
did Edward know that he was stalking his own brother?
Don't know.
Don't know?
Don't know.
Point of being a royal
very
correspondent.
Murky. It's very murky.
He must have known, because otherwise, if he didn't know, he'd just be sort of like an ignorant tosspot, wouldn't he? And you know he's not that.
But didn't Ardent misbehave in other ways, employees, by offering students a curry?
Yep, they bought them a curry. They bought the 10 little guys.
Is that not allowed now,
No,
under
that is
Mr
allowed.
Blunkett's new legislation?
But weren't they saying, pretend now that we're sort of 8 months in the future
6
and
months,
that
yeah.
William's been here for sort of like a couple of terms, and then you can talk about how he settled in and stuff like that?
Well, I call it misbehaviour anyway, which is not what you find at the BBC, is it, Jennie? Although Channel 4 can't always be relied upon.
She's been a little ambivalent about the whole of the celebrations. We're told it did take her quite a long time to realise people were as enthusiastic as they are about her birthday.
It's nice to see the Queen Mother still gets out and about. Did you say that was Channel 4?
Apparently,
The
yes.
big breakfast bunny, yes.
Yes. Do you remember your other great regret that day?
Oh, dear.
What,
Oh, dear.
The purple dress?
Well, there are occasions, I suppose, when, you get up in a great hurry, and that was one such occasion. And I did have to then go up a ladder, which was about 30 foot high and extremely vertical, and it was quite a breezy day. And when I got to the top, I remembered, I thought, my producer said yesterday, whatever you do, Jennie, remember to wear knickers. And I hadn't.
Right.
Well, skills in a hurry. These things happen.
So the result was, of course, that Edward apologised, and he's announced this week that there's going to be no more royal documentaries, we gather.
So that presumably means no more programmes at all.
Then they said they've got lots of...
But his mother has said, look,
dramas.
I'm very, very sorry the family's caused you this difficulty. Here's £100,000 to be getting on with.
Oh, well, that's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, no,
That's
that's very
happy
good.
ending.
Is Edward, do you think, the Queen's favourite?
Well, I think he is the favourite because he's the youngest of the babies of the family for now.
And they're quite keen to give him the title of Duke of Edinburgh as well when he tops it.
God. Not another one.
This is Prince Edward's decision to stop making TV shows about the royal family. According to the Mirror, the Ardent crew were filming for a series Edward had sold to a US cable TV network, the A to Z of royalty, although Edward was apparently astonished to learn they wanted as many as 26 episodes. That series has now been axed after only getting as far as C. Still, at least that covered Prince Philip. Ian and Andrew, a headline for you. Beckett filleted.
Well, I think this is good stories about Beckett this week. She had to explain why some scientists had confused brains of cows with brains of sheep. But the problem for them, it was pate, and it's all been gunged up and everything. And there was a test about the people who conducted the test, but they weren't quite sure about the testers of the testers of the testers, if you follow me. It's very complicated, but it was a monumental screw-up.
But she didn't say that the government's top scientists had spent 4 years testing what they thought were sheep's brains, but actually they were cows. She said there'd been a problem with the data or something, didn't she?
And it was patterned by this time, you see. That's
Yes.
the problem. So it's very difficult. I mean, do you know
It is difficult, isn't it? Cow, sheep.
Yes.
I know the Labour Party's not very keen on the countryside, but...
What's Margaret Beckett been accused of, then? What syndrome is she supposed to be suffering from?
Joe Moore syndrome.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
Burying bad news late at night.
So what was the reason for the mix-up?
Both got 4 legs.
Yep. No, they were stored together by mistake. That might have been one reason. Or mislabelling, because of the word bovine and ovine.
Ah, well, yeah, I think you're unreasonable then. I mean...
You think a load of bollocks.
They should have called them cow and sheep.
Yeah.
Brilliant. It's the shocking revelation that government research scientists were unable to tell whether what they were looking at was sheep's brains or cow's brains, a feeling you'll be familiar with if you've ever bought anything from a late-night burger van. Paul and Jennie, another 9 for you. Land of dope and glory.
This is about the possibility of Ian Duncan Smith becoming Prime Minister. For the very first time that identical twins have ever led the Conservative Party.
Yes, it is extraordinary.
Although you only ever see one of them at a time. I don't know why it is. Probably because it's not to confuse people.
Which paper was it you read this in?
That was in the Guardian on Monday.
Right. Which Guardian was that, then?
That was the National Guardian, usually known as the Manchester Guardian. It was edited
right.
by C.P. Snow until 1954.
Right.
And it's now currently edited by Alan Rusbridger.
Harry Potter.
Beg your pardon?
Harry Potter.
You just said that out loud, did you know that? It's a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Yeah. Pay no attention.
Pretty stoned, which we can all be now, apparently.
All be stoned, yes.
Yep,
yes.
we can all
apparently.
get stoned without fear of arrest.
Well, we can have it confiscated, but not arrested for possessing it. Yes,
Yes, the actual material is arrested and not the person.
This will be a lot quicker, I think.
So it gets locked up away in the police station until they have a party.
Very much the same as it was before, yes. What has the Tories' response to this been thus far?
Oh, Anne Widdecombe's stepped forward and said it's a dealer's charter. She was saying these words, you didn't have a clue what she was talking about.
Well, she's obviously stoned.
Yeah.
Or maybe should be.
What did Duncan Smith say?
Ian and Duncan Smith, please. Let's not have any favouritism.
I think
Ian was very upset if he was being left out.
I think they both said that they were in the middle of policy review. So
Probably arguing with each other.
Yeah. And who's the big royal drug connection?
Oh, Tom Parville, yes, has been known to... but no longer.
No,
So
no,
he says.
he does it.
He's clean now, is he?
So he says.
He's still got that police caution there, hasn't he, for Class A and B.
That's right.
Yes.
Little-
So just needs C and he'll have the full set.
Is there an A star?
He blamed it on what, Tom, at the time?
Tom Watts, but I used to be in EastEnders. Lofty. Wasn't his fault, surely.
He blamed it... He blamed
You
it
don't
on
watch
what?
EastEnders,
Comma Tom, question
Do
mark.
you watch EastEnders?
Used to.
Yeah, something easy program. I was watching the National Television Awards the other day, and I never watch EastEnders. I'd never really seen it. But it's every bit of EastEnders, always like people whispering in a threatening way. He's like, I told you not to do that, didn't I? Yeah, I don't know what it's all about. Yeah, leave it out. It's like what it's always like. It's like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it has
They've
been
got a
many-
writer's Bible. There are only 2 scenes. There's someone comes in and says, what's going on? And then the other one says, leave it out. And that's it. That's the end of the programme.
You don't understand, Dolly. I ain't going to talk to you anymore.
Extraordinary. It's almost like we were in Albert Square, isn't it?
Shut it.
This is the news that cannabis laws are to be relaxed. Tabloid economists have been debating the pros and cons of cannabis use. I never smoked it, but many of my friends who do are now struggling to find decent jobs, wrote a journalist for the Daily Express. So, as predicted by Nostradamus when he said the mighty pillar beyond the hidden cave will be split asunder by earthquake and flood, the scores are 4-all.
Yes.
Our next round is literally exceptional. A number of people link from which one stands out. Who and why is the least we need to know. Just one per team. Paul and Jennie. Your slightly royal foursome are these 7. Andrew and Fergie, Prince Charles, Gavin Davies, and the 3 little pigs.
Blimey. Do they still live together? Do they, Fergie
Fergie and Andrew live together.
Yeah.
The
but
3
they're not
little
married.
pigs were forced to share.
They live together. Charles lives with Camilla, more or less, and Gavin is happily married. I think his wife works for Gordon Brown.
Is the wrong answer.
Oh, well then.
But well deduced.
How can he be well deduced?
Well, because it all makes sense. It could have been
That
that.
could be right.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
where would Sherlock Holmes
right.
be if somebody said, well, that was well deduced, but you've hung the wrong man? Clean it out, copper!
All the pigs own their own homes.
Good.
Whereas Prince Charles's is belongs to
It's
the
owned by
nation.
the-
This is a terrible
No,
answer.
no.
No, well, it's
Long
not
as
that far. It does involve some home truths.
Oh, right.
It is a domestic.
Okay.
Ah, well, you see, yes, the three little pigs built their own homes.
Yes, they did.
And that makes them, the others haven't built their own homes.
No, Fergie and Andrew built their own home in South Fork.
Very
Gavin
good.
Davis.
Gavin Davis
Yes, a
built
very nice.
his own
So
home.
Prince Charles is the odd one out. He
It
hasn't
is the
built his
right
own home.
answer.
Hey.
Yes, Andy and Fergie designed South York, which is also called
South Fork.
Tesco Towers is the other name.
Why is it called Tesco Towers?
Because it looks a bit like Tesco's.
Have you got a picture of it?
No.
Well, I'm not willing to believe you.
Oh, right.
Doesn't look the slightest like Tesco.
Do you want to fight, or...?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Ian, don't. It's not worth it. Leave that.
And the bathroom has a nautical theme.
The bathroom has a nautical theme. What, there's water in it? What's this nautical theme?
No, there's a
Which you speak?
twin-sized tub, the shape of a boat.
Perfect for Ian and Duncan Smith. Now I know what to get them for Christmas.
Excellent. Yes, and Gavin Davis, he's the BBC chairman who designed his house in Devon.
And what does that look like?
You're not allowed to show people's houses.
I know, quite right.
No.
Well, what about the pigs? Not much privacy for them. Pretty easy to identify where that particular brick house is. If I were a big bad wolf looking for something to huff and puff.
And Prince Charles is the odd one out as he's designed his own garden. Jenny, have you been to Highgrove?
I have, yes. Just a little chat. Cup of tea.
Did he receive any phone calls whilst he was talking to you at all?
Yeah.
From anyone particularly interesting?
I don't know, he didn't say.
Right.
No, he just took a phone call.
No clues? Like, hello, mum?
No. Then I got back to London, my beleifer went, and it was a major news story. I think it was a divorce settlement or something, the financial settlement. And I did realise that I'd been sitting there, actually with Prince Charles face-to-face when a major news story had happened. But that's not the first time things like that had happened to me. It frequently happens. I mean, I was in Buckingham Palace when Windsor Castle burnt down, nobody told me.
So you've got an alibi then?
Yes, the answer is that they've all designed their own house with the exception of Prince Charles, who did, however, design his own garden at Highgrove on a traditional Muslim theme. Sadly, the garden was destroyed soon afterwards by American bombers who were actually aiming for an airstrip near Jalalabad. The three little pigs were unfairly portrayed in the children's story, as in fact pigs are the fourth most intelligent animals on Earth. This was recently confirmed at a livestock research centre when one pig poked his nose through the cage and told a government scientist, "That's a cow's brain you got there." Ian and Andrew, your showbiz superstars are Renee Zellweger, Nigel Lithgow, Prince Philip, and a friend of Kenneth Clark.
Good gracious.
That's his head, is it, being held
By Philip.
Is this a losing weight question? Because Renée Zellweger put on a huge amount of weight to be in Bridget Jones. Kenneth Clark put on a huge amount of weight to run for the Tory leadership. Nasty Nigel. He was on a programme called something or other, where they found a pop group.
Right.
Called Hearsay.
Ah, yeah.
Please don't applaud, it'll only encourage him. I'll give you one, because you're sort of fumbling around in the right area. The answer is that they've all advised other people to lose weight in order to become more successful, except Renée Zellweger, who put on 2 stone to star in Bridget Jones.
Who did Clark advise?
Well, a friend of Clark advised Kenneth Clark to lose weight, to lose his beer belly, baggy suits, cigars, and hush puppies if he wanted to win the election.
He didn't want to win the election.
Why is that then?
Well, they're unelectable, and all these terrible people who make up the Conservative Party parliamentary ranks are all squabbling, and it's been a most unhappy time for a man who's on very large earner with the tobacco giants. I mean,
Are you saying he deliberately threw the race? That's
been
quite an accusation, isn't it? You think he misled all his supporters?
He didn't want to win. No, not at all. Not at all. Would you want to win?
I didn't stand.
No, right.
I think Duncan Smith thought he was going to lose as well.
Well, Ian was very confident. Duncan wasn't so confident. But Ian's always been the most optimistic of the two. He was born first, actually.
Was he?
Yeah.
Off and away.
Yeah, by 5 years. A surprise for his mother.
Although Kenneth Clarke did go to a great deal of trouble in order to get elected, including the odd photo opportunity.
I feel rather more confident about success as leader of the Conservative Party than I do driving one of these. Both legs straight.
One hand on either side.
Prince Philip, who did he tell to lose weight?
Duchess of York, I should think.
Well, he was actually a 13-year-old boy in
The
Salford.
King of Tonga. No?
Was it a 13-year-old boy in Salford?
It was a 13-year-old boy in Salford,
The Nigel man was rude to all these aspiring people and said,
yes.
lose weight.
yeah. Well, to one in particular, yes, Kim of Hearsay, with whom, of course, you'll be familiar.
Yes, not
Yes.
Danny then.
No, otherwise I'm missing. No. He was recognised recently in a bar, Nigel Lithgow. Dustin Hoffman actually went up to him and said, "I love your programme. I'm a big fan of yours." And Nigel said, "I love your movies."
But you could do with losing some weight.
Nigel Lithgow is unashamedly proud of his record in light entertainment, boasting, "Blind Date will still be on television when you and I are dead." Suddenly, global biological warfare doesn't seem quite so bad. Which fast talking means at the end of this lightweight discussion, it's Paul and Jennie, whose chances are slim, behind as they are 6-5. Our concluding round is also our last. Gaping spread of headlines with the usual black oblongs, including some or less from this week's guest publication, the quite excellent Caves and Caving, the Taliban equivalent of Homes and Gardens. Okay, stand by for Invincible Ant attacks what?
Spider-Man. Prince Philip.
Deck.
It's not Prince Philip. Could be. It is, in fact, everything in its path. This is the South American fire ant, found where?
In South America.
No, Queensland.
It's moved.
Next, foot and mouth hits what?
Sheep. Cows.
Mike and Bernie Winters. Prince Philip.
Caves.
Bats.
It's very nearly caves.
Coves.
Not that similar. Slightly longer.
Underground dwellings.
Cabins.
No, cavers.
Oh.
Yes, all caving remains out, except for caves with direct access from a public road, in which case presumably you could just drive in. Next, giant bat triumphs over what?
Invincible Ant. Going on to beat Prince Philip in the finals. Cave.
Giant ball.
It's not from caves and caving.
Adversity. It's a
triumph over-
heartwarming
yes.
tale about how this bat has overcome
Yes.
drink problems, bad marriage.
It's a different story, Ian. Fruit farmer is the answer. This is the spectacled flying fox bat, so called because it's a type of bat. Next, what found in cave?
Earl of Wessex.
Stalactites.
No.
Stalagmites.
It's not Bin Laden, is it?
It's not Bin Laden or even Bin Laden.
Bin Laden.
No.
Well, you say Bin Laden, I say Bin Laden.
Not in fact him, but Keith Pearson found.
How the hell is anybody meant to get that?
And finally, French woman takes what into space?
Jacques Chirac. Did you notice Jacques Chirac's got this enormous capacity, apparently? So his wife tells us.
You mean enormous capacity?
What time's this programme on?
At the moment, you're live.
Well, he's a great womaniser, apparently, and she said, "Remember, Jack, when Napoleon left Josephine, things started turning pear-shaped."
Oh my God, did you see a doctor? Pear-shaped?
You're going to have an enormous capacity if you're going to go pear-shaped.
A pomegranate, you wouldn't complain, but pear-shaped?
Is that the end of your anecdote? Great. Thank you.
Keith Pearson.
It doesn't relate to Keith.
Chutney. Prince Philip.
Euro.
No,
Gerard
the
Depardieu.
French woman, no, none
like
of these
saying it.
things.
I like saying
Takes a teddy bear into space. is the answer.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Did he want to go?
Didn't get any say in the matter.
Well, it's cruel then.
All of which ritual slaughter means at the end of tonight's cull, this week's sacrificial lambs are Paul and Jennie with 5. This week's sacred cows are Ian and Andrew with 8. throw the latest Prince video to our winners, the latest Prince Edward video to our losers, and I leave you with news that in the Afghan conflict there's a tricky moment for one Gurkha when his colleague spots a wasp. At an international summit of coalition leaders, George Bush suddenly realises he's missing Sesame Street. And as the Blairs return from a weekend break, a friend of Ewan's says thank you for letting them hold last night's rave at Chequers. Good night.
And I can tell you if you enjoy that good-natured savagery, stay with us for some sparkling wit from John Diamond guesting in Have I Got 1992 for You. That's next.